Right now, a monster storm system is loading up over the Midwest, and by tomorrow afternoon, it is going to unleash one of the most dangerous severe weather outbreaks we have seen in weeks. 10 million people are in the direct path. Strong tornadoes, baseball-sized hail, 70-mile-per-hour straight-line winds. And the worst part? Some of these communities were just hit by devastating tornadoes only 2 weeks ago. If you live anywhere between Chicago and Columbus, Ohio, what I am about to show you in the next 60 seconds could literally save your life tomorrow evening. Do not scroll past this. Here is what makes this situation so alarming. The Storm Prediction Center has already issued an enhanced risk. That is a 3 out of 5 on their severity scale, stretching from northern Illinois through central Indiana and into western Ohio. That does not happen casually. That means forecasters are highly confident that destructive storms will develop. And I am going to walk you through every single detail, city by city, hour by hour, so you know exactly when the danger arrives at your doorstep. But before we get into the full breakdown, let me tell you something that most weather channels will not mention. There is a hidden layer in the atmosphere right now, a cap of hot, dry air sitting like a pressure cooker lid on top of explosive storm fuel. When that lid gets ripped off tomorrow afternoon by a screaming cold front, the atmosphere is going to erupt. And I mean erupt. We are talking about storms going from 0 to catastrophic in under 30 minutes. Stay with me because at the 5-minute mark, I am going to show you the exact hour the most dangerous storms are expected to fire and the specific cities that need to be on highest alert. You do not want to miss that. Now, let me set the stage for you because understanding why this is happening makes all the difference. Right now, as of Wednesday evening, there is a massive heat ridge parked over the southwestern United States. Phoenix is sitting at 98 degrees, Tucson 94, Scottsdale 95. Even places like Albuquerque, New Mexico are at 88 degrees and Las Vegas is baking at 94. That extreme heat is not just sitting there doing nothing. It is generating a layer of hot, dry air aloft called an elevated mixed layer. Think of it like a blanket of fire sitting at about 10,000 feet in the atmosphere. That hot air is streaming eastward on the jet stream, and it is settling right over the Midwest tonight. Now, here is the critical part. Underneath that hot cap, Gulf moisture is surging northward. Temperatures ahead of the front tomorrow are going to soar into the upper 70s and even lower 80s across Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. Chicago is currently at 69 degrees this evening. Indianapolis is at 69. Fort Wayne is at 61. Peoria is at 69. But tomorrow afternoon, these cities are going to see temperatures 20 degrees higher than where they are right now as that warm front lifts through. So picture this. You have got rocket fuel building at the surface, an atmosphere absolutely loaded with moisture and instability. And on top of it all, you have got that cap holding everything down like a coiled spring. For most of the day tomorrow, Thursday, it is actually going to be a beautiful day across the Midwest. Sunshine, warm temperatures, light winds. People are going to be outside eating lunch, enjoying what feels like a perfect spring afternoon. And that is exactly what makes this so dangerous. Because when that cold front comes crashing in from the west during the late afternoon hours, it is going to shatter that cap wide open. Let me tell you exactly what happens next. And this is where it gets truly scary. When those storms first erupt along the cold front, they are not going to start as a messy line of rain. No, they are going to fire as discrete supercell thunderstorms, individual rotating monsters with the full capability to produce large, destructive hail and strong tornadoes. The Storm Prediction Center has drawn a 5% tornado probability hatched area right across central Illinois into Indiana. And when they hatch that area, it means they believe there is potential for strong tornadoes, meaning EF2 or greater. We are talking about tornadoes that can level houses, flip cars, and snap trees like toothpicks. And here is the question I want you sitting with right now. Where exactly will the strongest storms develop? Will it be the Chicago metro area, the farmlands south of Interstate 80, the corridor near Fort Wayne? I am going to answer that in detail in just a moment. But first, let me show you the timing, because timing is everything when it comes to severe weather survival. Here is the hour-by-hour breakdown, and I need you to pay close attention if you are anywhere in the threat zone. Thursday morning, 6 in the morning to noon Central Time, a warm front is going to be lifting northward through Illinois and Indiana. Temperatures are climbing rapidly. Dew points are surging into the upper 60s. The atmosphere is loading up. At this point, there may be some early morning thunderstorm clusters moving through the southern portions of the threat area. Now, here is an important detail. If those morning storms are too widespread, they could actually eat up some of the available energy and reduce the afternoon tornado threat slightly. That is one of the limiting factors I am watching very closely. But if those morning storms stay confined to the south and do not push too far north, the atmosphere north of that complex is going to be completely untapped, absolutely primed for explosive development later in the day. Thursday, noon to 3 in the afternoon Central Time. This is the tension-building phase. The cap is still holding. Cumulus clouds are starting to bubble up. You might look outside and see towering clouds building on the horizon. The air feels heavy, humid, electric, but nothing has broken through yet. This is the most deceptive part of the day because everything looks calm, but the atmospheric equivalent of a ticking time bomb is counting down. Thursday, 3 to 6 in the afternoon Central Time. This is when all hell breaks loose. The cold front begins punching into the highly unstable air mass from the west. The cap gets displaced, pushed south, blown out of the way, and storms erupt violently along the frontal boundary. The first cells are going to be discrete supercells, and they are going to be absolute beasts. We are talking about storms capable of producing hail 2 inches in diameter or larger, that is golf ball sized or bigger. Wind gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour even within the supercell structure. And here is the big one, tornadoes. 1 or 2 long-track supercells are expected to develop somewhere in the corridor from central Illinois through Indiana. The highest probability appears to be focused just south of Interstate 80, in the zone from Bloomington and Peoria eastward through Champaign, Lafayette, and toward Fort Wayne. Let me be very specific about Bloomington, Illinois. This city is staring down a serious threat tomorrow. The tornado risk is at 5%, which does not sound like a lot until you realize that a 5% tornado probability from the Storm Prediction Center means there is a meaningful chance of a tornado passing within 25 miles of any point in that area. The wind risk is at 30%. The hail risk is at 30%. The peak danger window for Bloomington is between 11 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon Central Time, with the absolute highest risk right around 3 to 6 in the afternoon. Now here is where I need to deliver on my promise from the beginning of this video. Let me show you exactly which cities face the greatest threat and when. Chicago, Illinois. Current temperature this evening, 69 degrees. Tomorrow afternoon, expect highs near 80 degrees before the front arrives. Storm arrival time approximately 4 to 6 in the afternoon Central Time. The initial threat will be large hail and possible tornadoes from discrete supercells approaching from the west. As the evening progresses, the primary hazard transitions to damaging straight-line winds as storms merge into a squall line. Here's the twist for Chicago, though. I actually think the tornado threat might be slightly lower right in the city compared to areas further south. The reason is that the air near Chicago might end up being just a touch too hot and dry with slightly lower humidity compared to locations in central and southern Illinois and into Indiana where moisture will be deeper. But make no mistake, Chicago is still under a significant severe weather threat. Damaging winds and large hail are very much on the table. Peoria, Illinois. Current temperature 69 degrees. Tomorrow highs in the upper 70s. Storm arrival 3 to 5 in the afternoon Central Time. Peoria sits right in the heart of the enhanced risk zone. This city needs to be on high alert for all hazards, tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds. The timing puts the worst storms right during the late afternoon commute hours. If you work in Peoria, you need to have your severe weather plan ready before you leave for work tomorrow morning. Champaign, Illinois. Currently 66 degrees, tomorrow mid-70s before storms. Storm arrival approximately 3:30 to 5:30 in the afternoon Central Time. Champaign is also squarely in the enhanced risk zone. With the University of Illinois campus right there, tens of thousands of students and faculty need to be aware that severe weather is bearing down on their area during the heart of the afternoon. Springfield, Illinois, currently 71 degrees, tomorrow mid to upper 70s. Storm arrival approximately 2:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon Central Time. Springfield sits just south of the enhanced risk boundary but is still under a significant severe weather threat. Tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds are all possible here. If you are in Springfield, do not let the fact that you are just outside the enhanced zone make you complacent. Dangerous storms do not respect lines drawn on a map. Now let us move east into Indiana because the threat does not stop at the state line. Indianapolis, Indiana. Current temperature 69 degrees. Tomorrow upper 70s. Storm arrival approximately 5 to 7 in the evening Eastern Time. Indianapolis is in the enhanced risk zone. The storms that develop over Illinois are going to be racing eastward, and by the time they reach Indianapolis, some of them may still be producing tornadoes and large hail, while others will have merged into a powerful squall line capable of 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. The evening timing is especially concerning because people will be heading home from work, possibly running errands, not paying attention to the sky. Fort Wayne, Indiana, currently 61 degrees, tomorrow mid-70s. Storm arrival approximately 6 to 9 in the evening Eastern Time. Now, Fort Wayne deserves special attention here. Multiple forecast models are highlighting the area in and around Fort Wayne as a zone where one or two particularly nasty, long-lived supercells could be tracking through during the evening hours. The model data is showing potential for significant rotation in this corridor between roughly 8 and 10 in the evening Eastern Time. That means Fort Wayne could be dealing with the most dangerous storms right as it gets dark, and nighttime tornadoes are 2.5 times more deadly than daytime tornadoes because people cannot see them coming and many are asleep. Lafayette, Indiana, currently 66 degrees, tomorrow mid-70s. Storm arrival approximately 5 to 7 in the evening Eastern Time. Lafayette sits right in the corridor where discrete supercells are most likely to be producing tornadoes as they race eastward from Illinois. This city needs to be on the highest possible alert. South Bend, Indiana, currently 64 degrees. Tomorrow, low 70s. Storm arrival approximately 5 to 7 in the evening Eastern Time. South Bend is on the northern fringe of the enhanced risk. The threat here is primarily from damaging winds as the squall line pushes through, but isolated tornadoes cannot be ruled out. Now let us push further east into Ohio because these storms are not going to just stop at the Indiana border. Columbus, Ohio, currently 63 degrees. Tomorrow, upper 60s to low 70s. Storm arrival approximately 8 to 11 in the evening Eastern Time. And here is what makes Columbus especially vulnerable. By the time the storms reach central Ohio, it will be late evening heading into overnight. Many people will be winding down for bed. The squall line will still be capable of producing 50 to 70 mile-per-hour wind gusts and heavy rain. You absolutely must have weather alerts set up on your phone or a weather radio that will wake you up if warnings are issued. Cincinnati, Ohio, currently 67 degrees, tomorrow low 70s. Storm arrival approximately 9 in the evening to midnight Eastern Time. Cincinnati is on the southern end of the threat zone. The storms are expected to start weakening somewhat as they approach the Ohio River Valley, but they will still be capable of producing damaging wind gusts and heavy rain. Do not let your guard down. Dayton, Ohio, currently 63 degrees, tomorrow upper 60s. Storm arrival approximately 7 to 10 in the evening Eastern Time. Dayton sits in a dangerous spot right in the path of storms that will have been producing damage across Indiana for hours. Even as some storms begin transitioning from supercells to a squall line, the wind threat remains extremely high. Cleveland, Ohio, currently 57 degrees. Tomorrow, mid-60s. The severe weather threat for Cleveland is lower compared to areas further south, but scattered strong storms with gusty winds are possible during the late evening hours. Toledo, Ohio, currently 63 degrees. Tomorrow, upper 60s to low 70s. Storm arrival approximately 7 to 9 in the evening Eastern Time. Toledo could be clipped by the northern edge of the squall line. Damaging winds are the primary concern, and I know a lot of you watching are from other parts of the Midwest and are wondering about your area, so let me cover even more cities. Rockford, Illinois, currently 69 degrees. Tomorrow, low 70s. Storm arrival approximately 3 to 5 in the afternoon Central Time. Rockford is on the northern edge of the enhanced risk. Large hail and damaging winds are the primary threats, with an outside chance of a brief tornado. Decatur, Illinois, currently 68 degrees, tomorrow mid-70s. Storm arrival 3 to 5 in the afternoon Central Time. Decatur is right in the bullseye. All hazards are on the table here. Terre Haute, Indiana, currently 68 degrees, tomorrow mid-70s. Storm arrival approximately 4 to 6 in the afternoon Central Time. Terre Haute will be one of the first Indiana cities to see these storms arrive. The initial supercell threat here is very real. Muncie, Indiana, currently 66 degrees, tomorrow low 70s. Storm arrival, 5 to 7 in the evening Eastern Time. Muncie needs to be watching the sky carefully as storms race eastward across the state. Kokomo, Indiana, currently 63 degrees, tomorrow low 70s. Storm arrival approximately 5 to 7 in the evening Eastern Time. Kokomo is in a similar position to Muncie, right in the path of eastward moving supercells. Evansville, Indiana, currently 72 degrees. Tomorrow, mid to upper 70s. Evansville is south of the main enhanced risk area, but will still see strong thunderstorms with gusty winds and heavy rain as the cold front pushes through during the evening. Bloomington, Indiana, currently 68 degrees. Tomorrow, low 70s. Storm arrival, 5 to 7 in the evening Eastern Time. Not to be confused with Bloomington, Illinois, this Indiana city is also in the threat zone for damaging winds and possible hail. Now here is something most weather channels are not talking about, and this is important. Do not miss this part. After the severe storms push through, the cold front driving them is going to cause one of the most dramatic temperature crashes you have ever experienced. Meteorologists sometimes call this a pneumonia front, and when you see the numbers, you will understand why. Here is what is going to happen. Tomorrow afternoon in Chicago, you could be sitting outside enjoying lunch in 80-degree weather. Beautiful spring day, short sleeves, maybe even flip-flops. And then by the time you leave work at 5 or 6 in the evening, the temperature will have plummeted to near 40 degrees. That is a 40-degree temperature drop in the span of a single afternoon. Let me say that again, 40 degrees in one afternoon. That is like going from summer to winter in 3 hours, and it is not just Chicago. Let me walk you through this temperature collapse across the region. Detroit, Michigan is currently at 56 degrees this evening. Tomorrow, temperatures will climb into the mid-60s before the front, then crash back into the low 40s by midnight. Grand Rapids, Michigan, currently 60 degrees. Same story. Temperatures surge, then plummet. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, currently 66 degrees. Tomorrow we'll see 70s before the front, then a drop to near 40 by late evening. Green Bay, Wisconsin, currently 58 degrees. Temperatures will struggle to stay above freezing by Friday morning. Minneapolis, Minnesota, currently 72 degrees. The front will push through, bringing temperatures crashing down 30 degrees by Friday morning. Des Moines, Iowa, currently 74 degrees. Same pattern, a swift drop into the 40s behind the front. The reason this temperature crash is so extreme is because the Great Lakes are still very cold from winter. Lake Michigan, surface temperatures are barely above freezing in many spots. Lake Erie and Lake Huron are similar. So when the cold front surges through and the winds shift to come from the north and northwest, all that air is going to pass right over those frigid lake waters and arrive at your doorstep absolutely bone-chilling cold. Communities downwind of the Great Lakes are going to feel this the most. Chicago, Milwaukee, Grand Rapids, Detroit, Cleveland, Buffalo, all of these cities are going to experience that brutal, lake-enhanced cold blast. Now, I want to zoom out and show you the bigger picture because this severe weather event tomorrow is actually just the opening act to something much larger. And I promised you a teaser about what is coming next week, so here it is. The jet stream is about to undergo a dramatic pattern change that will reshape weather across the entire United States as we flip the calendar into April. Right now, the jet stream has been locked in a pattern with extreme heat baking the west and relatively mild conditions across much of the east. But starting this weekend, things are going to flip. Here is what is coming. By Sunday, March 29th, the heat that has been trapped in the southwest is going to start migrating eastward. Phoenix is currently at 98 degrees. Tucson is at 94. Palm Springs is at 97. Scottsdale, 95. Mesa, 96. Chandler, 97. Tempe, 98. These extreme temperatures have been relentless, and I know from comments that many of you in the West have been desperate for relief. Well, relief is coming. By March 31st into April 1st, a major trough is going to dig into the western United States, sending the jet stream plunging southward. This is going to bring below normal temperatures, flooding back into the west and southwest. We are talking about temperatures dropping 15 to 20 degrees below normal in places like Montana, Arizona, Nevada, and New Mexico. Phoenix could see temperatures drop from the upper 90s into the 70s. That is a 20-degree swing. The triple-digit heat that has been punishing the desert Southwest is finally going to break. But here is the trade-off, and this is the part you absolutely cannot miss. As the cold air pours into the west, the warmth is going to surge into the nation's heartland and the northeast. By April 1st and 2nd, we are looking at temperatures 20 to 25 degrees above normal across the central United States and into the northeast. Minneapolis, Des Moines, Kansas City, St. Louis, Indianapolis, even cities like New York and Boston could see unseasonably warm temperatures. And right where those two air masses collide, the bitter cold air plunging south from the west, meeting the superheated Gulf moisture surging northward, that is where we are going to see the next major severe weather setup. The GFS ensemble models, which use multiple different starting conditions to give us a range of possible outcomes, are already showing a significant surge of storm fuel, what meteorologists call CAPE, or convective available potential energy, building from eastern Texas through Missouri, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Indiana, and Ohio during the first week of April. Now let me explain why this matters in a way that connects to what you are seeing tomorrow. The storm system on Thursday is dangerous, no question, but it is a single event, a one-day outbreak driven by a specific cold front punching into unstable air. What is coming in April is fundamentally different. We are talking about a sustained pattern, a week-long or even 2-week-long setup where the atmosphere is repeatedly primed for severe weather. Instead of one outbreak, we could see 3, 4, maybe 5 separate rounds of severe storms rolling across the plains and the Mississippi and Ohio River valleys over a span of 10 to 14 days. The reason this pattern is so concerning is the persistence of the jet stream configuration. When you have a deep trough locked in over the west and a strong ridge pumping warmth into the east, it creates a highway for storm systems. Low pressure centers ride along the jet stream one after another like cars on a freeway. Each one brings its own cold front, its own warm sector, its own severe weather potential. And because the overall pattern is not changing, the same areas get hit repeatedly. For communities in Tornado Alley, the Mississippi Valley, and the Ohio Valley, this means you need to be in a heightened state of weather awareness for the next 2 to 3 weeks. This is the time of year to make sure your storm shelter is accessible, your emergency kit is stocked, and your family has a plan. Do not wait until a tornado warning is issued to figure out where your safe room is. Do it now while you have time to think clearly. And let me be specific about what your emergency kit should include, because I know some of you have been meaning to put one together and keep putting it off. You need bottled water, enough for at least 72 hours for every member of your household. Flashlights with fresh batteries, a battery-powered or hand-crank weather radio, a first aid kit, any essential medications that your family members need. Important documents in a waterproof bag, things like insurance policies, identification, and medical records. Cash, because ATMs and credit card machines do not work when the power is out. Sturdy shoes for every family member, work gloves for clearing debris, and a whistle that you can use to signal rescuers if you become trapped. Put all of this in a backpack or duffel bag and keep it in or near your safe room. If you do this tonight, you will be ahead of 90% of the population. I also want to point out something that connects the current temperature anomalies to the upcoming severe weather pattern. Right now tonight, we have cities in the southwest hitting triple digits in late March. Phoenix at 98, Yuma at 99, Bullhead City at 99, El Centro at 99, Calexico at 99, Goodyear at 99, Buckeye at 99, Mohave Valley is at 100 degrees. These are staggering numbers for March, running 20 to 25 degrees above normal. Meanwhile, up in the northern tier, we have Fargo at 43, Grand Forks at 30, International Falls at 37, Duluth at 36, Bemidji at 51, Point Hope, Alaska at 7 degrees, Utqiagvik at -9. The temperature difference between the desert southwest and the northern plains right now is over 70 degrees. That kind of thermal gradient across the continent is exactly what drives violent spring weather. When you compress that gradient into a narrow zone with a jet stream screaming overhead at 150 miles per hour, you get supercell thunderstorms, you get tornadoes, and you get widespread damage. So here is the takeaway for the big picture. Tomorrow is dangerous, yes, but it is also a preview of what could become a very active, severe weather period stretching through the first half of April. The jet stream pattern supports it. The temperature anomalies support it. The moisture supply from the Gulf supports it. All the ingredients are in place for a memorable start to tornado season. Let me also share some historical context to help frame what we are seeing. The last time we had a similar jet stream configuration at this time of year with this level of temperature anomaly contrast, the country ended up dealing with multiple significant tornado outbreaks in rapid succession. Every year is different, and the specific details of the pattern will determine what actually happens. But the overall setup, the large-scale ingredients, those are showing some concerning similarities to historically active severe weather periods, and that is worth paying attention to. The ensemble mean of the supercell composite parameter, a product from Northern Illinois University that helps forecast the potential for rotating thunderstorms, is already lighting up with elevated values during the April 1st through April 7th timeframe. And into the second week of April, those values increase even more. Now, I am not going to sensationalize this. We are still too far out to pinpoint specific cities or days for the next severe weather outbreak. But the meteorology absolutely supports the idea that we are entering an active severe weather pattern for the first 2 weeks of April. The jet stream pattern change provides the why. The model data provides the evidence. And when those two things align this far in advance, it tells me we need to be paying very close attention. Let me now give you a comprehensive snapshot of current conditions across America tonight, because knowing where temperatures stand right now helps you understand just how much energy the atmosphere has to work with. Starting in the Northeast. Boston is at 44 degrees with partly cloudy skies. New York City, 47 degrees. Philadelphia, 49. Washington, D.C., 54. Hartford, Connecticut, 46. Portland, Maine, 38. Burlington, Vermont, 37. Albany, New York, 50 degrees. Bangor, Maine, 34. Concord, New Hampshire, 53. Providence, Rhode Island, 39. The Northeast is cool to cold this evening with clear to partly cloudy skies across most of the region. Moving into the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast. Baltimore, 50 degrees. Richmond, 55. Charlotte, 62. Raleigh, 60 degrees. Atlanta, 65. Jacksonville, Florida, 64. Miami, 75. Tampa, 79. Orlando, 74. Savannah, 61. Charleston, South Carolina, 63. Nashville, 72. Knoxville, 66. Memphis, 78. Birmingham, 72. New Orleans, 73. Mobile, 68. The Southeast is mild to warm with mostly clear conditions, setting the stage for that moisture feed into the severe weather zone tomorrow. The Gulf Coast and Texas. Houston, 80 degrees. Dallas, 82. San Antonio, 86. Austin, 86. Fort Worth, 81. El Paso, 94. Lubbock, 90. Amarillo, 92. Corpus Christi, 78. Brownsville, 78. Waco, 83. Abilene, 87. Midland, 91. Texas is running extremely warm to hot, and that Gulf moisture streaming northward from these warm conditions is the fuel that will feed tomorrow's storms. The Midwest threat zone. Chicago, 69. Indianapolis, 69. Fort Wayne, 61. Peoria, 69. Springfield, Illinois, 71. Champaign, 66. Bloomington, Illinois, 66. Rockford, 69. Decatur, 68. Davenport, Iowa, 71. Cedar Rapids, 72. Des Moines, 74. Terre Haute, 68. Lafayette, 66. South Bend, 64. Gary, 66. These temperatures are going to surge 10 to 15 degrees higher tomorrow afternoon before the storms hit further north. Minneapolis, 72. Milwaukee, 66. Green Bay, 58. Madison, Wisconsin, 66. Duluth, 36. Eau Claire, 67. Wausau, 58. Fargo, 43. Sioux Falls, 76. Grand Forks, 30 degrees. The Great Lakes region. Detroit, 56. Grand Rapids, 60. Cleveland, 57. Toledo, 63. Columbus, 63. Cincinnati, 67. Dayton, 63. Akron, 56. Buffalo, 47. Erie, 56. Lansing, 60. Ann Arbor, 60. Kalamazoo, 60. Marquette, 41, the Plains States. Kansas City, 86. Topeka, 90. Wichita, 86. Oklahoma City, 86. Tulsa, 85. Omaha 79, Lincoln 81, Sioux City 77, St. Louis 80, Joplin 82, Springfield, Missouri 79. The plains are running hot, feeding energy into the system that will fire tomorrow. The Mountain West, Denver 83, Colorado Springs 78, Boulder 86, Salt Lake City 82, Boise 70, Billings 70, Casper 79, Cheyenne 79, Albuquerque 88, Santa Fe 84, Flagstaff 74, Missoula 54, Helena 51, Great Falls 57, Rapid City 74, the Pacific Northwest, Seattle 48, Portland 48, Spokane 54, Boise 70, Eugene 50, Salem 49, Olympia 48, Bellingham 47, Yakima 57. The Pacific Northwest is cool with some light rain across western Washington and Oregon. California, Los Angeles 65, San Francisco 62, San Diego 67, Sacramento 82, Fresno 85, Bakersfield 85, San Jose 70, Oakland 67, Riverside 82, Palm Springs 97, Stockton 80, Modesto 83, Redding 78, Santa Barbara 62. Southern California is mild at the coast and hot inland, while the Central Valley is running warm, the Desert Southwest. Phoenix 98, Tucson 94, Las Vegas 94, Yuma 99, El Centro 99, Bullhead City 99, Mesa 96, Scottsdale 95, Chandler 97, Tempe 98, Gilbert 97. These extreme temperatures are what is generating that elevated mixed layer that will fuel tomorrow's severe weather 1,000 miles to the east. Alaska, Anchorage 27 degrees, Fairbanks 29, Juneau 24, Barrow, which is officially Utqiagvik, -9 degrees, Prudhoe Bay, -11, Nome 18, Bethel 15, Kodiak 32. Alaska remains locked in winter conditions with extremely cold temperatures across the North Slope. Hawaii, Honolulu 79 degrees, Hilo 77, Kailua Kona 85, Lihue 76. Hawaii is experiencing typical tropical conditions with warm temperatures and scattered showers. Now let me cover even more cities across the country, because I know many of you are tuning in from places outside the immediate threat zone and you still want to know what is happening in your area. The Carolinas and Virginia. Raleigh, North Carolina 60 degrees with high-level clouds. Charlotte 62. Wilmington, North Carolina 61. Greensboro 58. Asheville 56. Richmond, Virginia 55. Virginia Beach, 49, Norfolk, 52, Roanoke, 58, Charlottesville, 56. The Carolinas and Virginia are cool and quiet tonight, and you will stay on the sidelines for this particular storm system. However, some rain and gusty winds are possible late Friday as the remnant energy from the Midwest system slides off to the east. Georgia and Alabama. Atlanta, 65 degrees, Augusta, 65, Savannah, 61, Macon, 61, Columbus, Georgia 71, Birmingham 72, Huntsville 68, Montgomery 74, Mobile 68, Tuscaloosa 74, Dothan 70 degrees. Georgia and Alabama are mild this evening. You are south of the primary severe weather threat for tomorrow, but scattered strong thunderstorms are possible across northern Alabama late Thursday night as the cold front sags southward. Mississippi and Louisiana. Jackson, Mississippi, 79, Hattiesburg, 76, Biloxi, 70, Gulfport, 69, Tupelo, 75, New Orleans, 73, Baton Rouge, 80, Shreveport, 81, Lake Charles, 75, Lafayette, 76. These states are warm and will serve as the moisture pipeline feeding humidity northward into the severe weather zone tomorrow. While Mississippi and Louisiana are not in the direct path of the most dangerous storms, gusty thunderstorms are possible along the cold front as it pushes through late Thursday night into Friday. Florida, Miami 75, Tampa 79, Orlando 74, Jacksonville 64, Fort Lauderdale 75, St. Petersburg 77. Sarasota, 74, Fort Myers, 74, Tallahassee, 72, Pensacola, 66, Daytona Beach, 70, Key West, 76, Cape Coral, 74, Clearwater, 75, Port St. Lucie, 75. Some thunderstorms are firing right now in portions of western Florida near Bradenton and Sarasota, but Florida is largely separated from the major Midwest severe weather event. However, some heavy rain and isolated thunderstorms are possible in the Florida Panhandle late Friday, the Dakotas and Nebraska, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, 76, Pierre, 71, Rapid City, 74, Aberdeen, 66, Fargo, North Dakota, 43, Bismarck, 62, Grand Forks, 30, Minot, 51, Omaha, Nebraska, 79, Lincoln, 81, North Platte, 86, Grand Island, 86, Kearney, 88, Scottsbluff, 88. The western Dakotas and Nebraska are running very warm to hot today. The cold front will push through these areas first, dropping temperatures significantly by Friday. Some severe thunderstorms are possible across eastern Nebraska and South Dakota tomorrow as the front moves through, but the greatest severe weather risk is further east in Illinois and Indiana. Kansas and Oklahoma, Kansas City, 86, Wichita, 86, Topeka, 90, Salina, 89, Dodge City, 88, Oklahoma City, 86, Tulsa, 85, Norman, 86, Stillwater, 89, Enid, 89, Lawton area near Duncan at 86. These states are baking in extreme warmth today with temperatures running 15 to 25 degrees above normal across much of the region. Kansas and Oklahoma will see the cold front push through late Thursday, bringing some strong thunderstorms, but the main severe weather action will be focused to the northeast in Illinois and Indiana. Still, isolated severe storms with large hail and gusty winds are possible across eastern Kansas and northeastern Oklahoma Thursday afternoon and evening. Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Little Rock, 81, Fort Smith, 87, Fayetteville, 81, Bentonville, 80, Memphis, 78, Nashville, 72, Knoxville, 66, Chattanooga, 68, Clarksville, 72, Louisville, 71, Lexington, 66, Bowling Green, 73, Paducah, 76, Hopkinsville, 74. These areas are warm and will see the back edge of the severe weather system. Nashville and Knoxville should watch for strong thunderstorms late Thursday night. Louisville is right on the southern fringe of the enhanced risk zone and could see damaging winds. Paducah and Bowling Green need to monitor the situation carefully as storms push south and east. The mountain states in more detail. Bozeman, Montana, 59 degrees. Butte, 57. Kalispell, 51. Billings, 70. Jackson, Wyoming, 64, Rock Springs, 76, Casper, 79, Pocatello, Idaho, 72, Idaho Falls, 70, Durango, Colorado, 80, Aspen, 74, Telluride, 68, Grand Junction, 87, Moab, Utah, 89, St. George, 91, Provo, 81. These mountain communities are enjoying warm to hot conditions under the dominant western heat ridge. But remember, this ridge is about to collapse starting this weekend. By next Wednesday, many of these same locations could be dealing with temperatures 20 to 30 degrees colder than what they are experiencing right now. Florida in even more detail for our southern viewers. Vero Beach, 75, Stuart, 75, West Palm Beach, 76, Boca Raton, 75, Hollywood, Florida, 75, Pembroke Pines, 75, Plantation, 75, Hialeah, 75, Lakeland, 79, Kissimmee, 74, Ocala, 73, Gainesville, 68, Melbourne, 74, Cocoa Beach, 74, Cape Canaveral, 72. South Florida is warm and muggy tonight with some passing clouds but no significant weather concerns through the weekend. Along the Interstate 95 corridor in the northeast. Stamford, Connecticut, 45 degrees. Bridgeport, 43. New Haven, 41. Providence, 39. Worcester, 42. Springfield, Massachusetts, 48. Hartford, 46. Scranton, 49. Allentown, 51. Trenton, 47. Newark, 50. Jersey City, 50. Yonkers, 48. White Plains, 45. The entire Interstate 95 corridor from Washington to Boston is cool and mostly clear tonight. No significant severe weather threats for the Northeast through Thursday, though a few scattered showers are possible Friday as the remnant energy from the Midwest system pushes through. West Texas and the Permian Basin, Midland 91, Odessa 90, Lubbock 90, Amarillo 92, Abilene 87, San Angelo 89, Hobbs, New Mexico 93, Clovis 95, Roswell 95, El Paso 94, Las Cruces 92. These communities are running extremely hot, 20 to 30 degrees above normal in some cases. The extreme heat is contributing directly to the elevated mixed layer that will fuel tomorrow's severe weather outbreak. This superheated air from West Texas and the Desert Southwest is streaming eastward at altitude and creating that invisible pressure cooker lid over the Midwest. The Pacific Coast in more detail. San Luis Obispo, 73, Santa Barbara, 62, Santa Maria, 69, Monterey, 65, Santa Cruz, 74, San Francisco at 62, Eureka, 56, Arcata, 55, Astoria, Oregon, 49, Newport, Oregon, 48, Coos Bay, 51. The Pacific Coast is cool in the north and mild in the south with typical marine layer conditions. No significant weather concerns through the weekend. Upper Midwest additional cities. Appleton, Wisconsin, 63, Oshkosh, 65, Sheboygan, 62, Manitowoc, 45, Kenosha, 66, Racine, 66, Janesville, 70, La Crosse, 65, Winona, Minnesota, 68, Rochester, Minnesota, 67, Mankato, 67, International Falls, 37, Bemidji, 51, Ironwood, 44, Marquette, 41, Escanaba, 38, Traverse City, 51. These upper Midwest cities will see the cold front push through Thursday evening and night. While severe weather risk is lower compared to central Illinois and Indiana, gusty winds and some hail are possible. The bigger story for this region will be the dramatic temperature crash behind the front, and I want to quickly hit some additional cities in the threat zone and surrounding areas that I have not covered yet. Logansport, Indiana, 63 degrees. Winnemac, 64. Elkhart, 63. Michigan City area near Gary at 66, Effingham, Illinois, 69, Carbondale, 73, Mount Carmel, 71, Danville, 68, Urbana, 66, Quincy, 77, Hannibal, Missouri, 79, Iowa City, 74, Davenport, 71, Dubuque, 66, Waterloo, 66, Mason City, 67, Fairfield, Iowa, 72, Grinnell, 73, Ames, 74. All of these locations are within or near the zone that could see severe weather tomorrow. Iowa will see the front push through earlier in the day, so if you are in eastern Iowa, your severe weather window is roughly noon to 4 in the afternoon Central Time. Western Illinois picks up storms from about 2 to 5 in the afternoon, central Illinois from 3 to 6, eastern Illinois and western Indiana from 4 to 7. Central Indiana from 5 to 8 in the evening Eastern Time, eastern Indiana and western Ohio from 6 to 10. Central Ohio from 8 to midnight. Now let me touch on Michigan briefly because Michigan has a very personal connection to this storm system. Just 2 weeks ago, a devastating tornado ripped through Union City and Union Lake in Michigan, causing significant damage and upending lives in those communities. Tomorrow, southern Michigan is once again in the threat zone, particularly the areas south of Interstate 94 from Kalamazoo through Battle Creek and Jackson toward Ann Arbor and Detroit. Kalamazoo is currently at 60 degrees, Jackson 60, Lansing 60, Ann Arbor 60, Detroit 56, Battle Creek area near Marshall in the upper 50s, Grand Rapids 60, Muskegon 59, Flint 57, Saginaw 57. Now, I do not believe we are going to see a repeat of the destruction that hit Michigan 2 weeks ago. The dynamics tomorrow are more focused on central Illinois and Indiana, but Michigan is not completely out of the woods. The squall line will push through southern Michigan during the late evening hours, and it could still produce 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts along with heavy rain. Anyone in southern Michigan should be monitoring conditions closely tomorrow evening. And for those of you in the northern portions of Michigan, Upper Peninsula cities like Marquette at 41, Escanaba at 38, Manistee at 37, and Iron Mountain at 53, your main concern will be the dramatic temperature drop behind the front. Some lake-effect snow flurries are even possible off Lake Superior and Lake Michigan late Friday into Saturday as the cold air rushes over the still cold lake waters. Let me also mention northern Maine because this is an area that often gets forgotten in these national weather discussions. Caribou, Maine is down near 26 degrees right now, Presque Isle at 26. These communities in far northern Maine are going to wake up Thursday morning to a slushy mess of quick-hitting snow from a separate disturbance tracking through the region. This is not related to the Midwest severe weather, but adds to the overall active weather pattern across the country. Now, I want to come back to the severe weather threat for tomorrow because I have some additional details that could be life-saving for many of you. Here is something that is critically important. As the evening progresses tomorrow, those individual supercell thunderstorms are expected to merge into what meteorologists call a mesoscale convective system, or more specifically, a bow, echo, or squall line. When that happens, the primary threat transitions from tornadoes and large hail to widespread damaging straight-line winds. And I am talking about a solid line of storms stretching potentially 100 miles or more, all producing 50 to 70 mile per hour winds simultaneously. When a squall line like that moves through a populated area, it can cause tornado-like damage across a very wide swath. The squall line is expected to form sometime between 6 and 8 in the evening Central Time across eastern Illinois and western Indiana. From there, it will race east-southeast through the overnight hours. Here is the timing for key cities as the line passes through. Bloomington and Champaign, Illinois. 3 to 6 in the afternoon Central Time, supercell phase. Highest tornado risk, Indianapolis, Indiana. 5 to 7 in the evening Eastern Time, transitioning from supercells to squall line. Both tornado and wind risk elevated. Fort Wayne, Indiana. 7 to 10 in the evening Eastern Time. Mix of supercells and squall line. This is the danger zone for potential long-track tornadoes. Dayton, Ohio. 8 to 10 in the evening Eastern Time. Squall line phase, damaging winds, primary threat, Columbus, Ohio. 9 to 11 in the evening Eastern Time. Squall line phase, damaging winds and heavy rain, Cincinnati, Ohio. 10 in the evening to midnight Eastern Time. Weakening squall line but still capable of damaging winds, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The squall line may still have some punch as it approaches Pittsburgh during the very late night hours, but it will be decaying. Heavy rain and gusty winds are the main concerns there. Now let me talk about what you need to do to protect yourself and your family, because having a plan is not optional when the Storm Prediction Center issues an enhanced risk. First, identify your safe room right now, tonight, before you go to bed. That means a basement if you have one. If you do not have a basement, go to the lowest floor of your home, get to an interior room with no windows. A bathroom, a closet, even under a stairwell. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Second, have multiple ways to receive warnings. Your phone should have wireless emergency alerts turned on. But do not rely solely on your phone. A NOAA weather radio with a battery backup is one of the best investments you can make. It will sound an alarm even when you are asleep. And if the storms are happening during the overnight hours, which they will be for many locations in Ohio, that alarm could be the difference between life and death. Third, if you are in a mobile home or manufactured housing, you need to have a plan to get to a sturdier structure before the storms arrive. Mobile homes provide almost zero protection against tornadoes, even weak ones. Identify a neighbor's house, a community storm shelter, or a public building where you can take refuge. Make that plan now, not when the sirens are going off. Fourth, charge your devices tonight. If the power goes out during the storms, you want your phone to have a full battery so you can continue receiving weather alerts and communicate with family. Fifth, have shoes and a flashlight near your safe room. If a tornado hits and you need to navigate through debris, you do not want to be barefoot in broken glass and twisted metal in the dark. Now, there is one more thing I need to address, and this is for everyone watching from areas that were just hit by tornadoes 2 weeks ago. If you are in central Illinois or northern Indiana, particularly the communities of Union City, Michigan, or the areas around Kankakee, Illinois, and Aroma Park, Illinois, I know you are exhausted. I know you are still picking up the pieces from the last outbreak, and I know that hearing about another severe weather threat is the absolute last thing you want to deal with right now. But here is what I need you to understand. The atmosphere does not care about our recovery timelines. It does not care that we are still rebuilding. These storms are coming whether we are ready or not. And because your area already has damaged structures, weakened trees, and displaced families, you are actually more vulnerable than you were before the last outbreak. A building that survived the last tornado with minor damage might not survive a second round of 70-mile-per-hour winds. A tree that was weakened but left standing could come crashing down on a house or a power line. So please, if you are in one of these recovering communities, take this threat seriously. Check on your neighbors. Make sure the elderly and those living alone know that severe weather is expected tomorrow. Share this information with them. I also want to touch on something that does not get enough attention: the mental health impact of back-to-back severe weather events. If you survived a tornado 2 weeks ago and you are feeling anxious about tomorrow's storms, that is completely normal. That is your brain trying to protect you. Use that anxiety as motivation to prepare, not as a reason to freeze up. Have your plan, know your safe room, trust the warnings, and take action when they are issued. All right, let me now talk about what happens after this storm system passes, because the weather story does not end on Thursday night. By Friday morning, the cold front will have pushed well to the south and east. The entire Midwest and Great Lakes region is going to wake up to a dramatically different world. Temperatures will be 30 to 40 degrees colder than Thursday afternoon. Frost is possible across portions of Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan by Friday morning. If you have any tender plants or early garden crops, protect them Thursday night. But the bigger story is what happens as we head into the weekend and beyond, because we are about to enter one of the most dynamic weather pattern changes of the spring season. By Sunday and into Monday, a new storm system is going to come ejecting out of the western trough. This will be our next significant severe weather threat across the Central Plains. We are still too far out for specifics, but the ingredients are going to be there: strong wind shear, abundant moisture, and an active jet stream. And then as we cross into April, the pattern change I described earlier is going to really ramp up. That big jet stream dip in the west sends cold air crashing south through Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. Meanwhile, the ridge builds over the central and eastern United States, sending warmth surging northward from the Gulf. The collision zone between those air masses is going to set up right across the heart of Tornado Alley and the Mississippi and Ohio River valleys. The GFS ensemble data is already showing elevated supercell parameters from April 1st through April 7th, and those values increase even further into the second week of April. This does not mean we are going to see tornadoes every day, but it does mean we are entering a heightened period of severe weather potential, and we all need to stay weather aware. If you are still watching, drop a comment below and tell me where you are located. I want to know which states and cities our viewers are watching from so I can tailor future forecasts to the areas you care about most. If you leave your city and state in the comments, I can provide you with more specific and targeted information in upcoming videos. Now let me recap the absolute most critical information from this video, because I know it has been a lot, and I want to make sure you walk away with exactly what you need. Number 1. Tomorrow, Thursday, March 26th, is a dangerous, severe weather day for the Midwest. An enhanced risk, level 3 out of 5, is in effect from northern Illinois through Indiana into western Ohio. 10 million people are in the threat zone. Number 2, the primary threats are strong tornadoes, very large hail up to 2 inches or more in diameter, and damaging straight-line winds of 70 miles per hour or higher. Number 3, the most dangerous window is between 3 in the afternoon and 9 in the evening Central Time, with storms continuing into the overnight hours as they push eastward into Ohio. Number 4, cities at highest risk include Chicago, Peoria, Bloomington, Illinois, Champaign, Springfield, Illinois, Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Lafayette, Dayton, and Columbus. But the entire region from Iowa to Ohio should be on alert. Number 5, a massive temperature crash of 30 to 40 degrees will follow the cold front through the Great Lakes region. Dress in layers tomorrow because you might start the day in shorts and end it in a winter coat. Number 6. After this system, we are entering an active severe weather pattern through the first 2 weeks of April as the jet stream undergoes a major pattern change. Stay tuned for daily updates. Number 7. Have your severe weather plan ready tonight. Safe room identified, devices charged, weather radio on, multiple ways to receive alerts, shoes and flashlight near your shelter. Now here's something I have not mentioned yet, and it might be the most important detail of this entire video. I want to talk about the overnight tornado threat because this is the part that genuinely concerns me the most. Statistics show that nighttime tornadoes are roughly 2.5 times more deadly than tornadoes that occur during daylight hours. The reasons are straightforward but terrifying. You cannot see them coming. Storm spotters have reduced visibility. Many people are asleep. And even if tornado sirens go off, research shows that a large percentage of people sleep right through them. especially in areas with frequent false alarms. Tomorrow night, the squall line and potentially some embedded supercells will be moving through Indiana and Ohio during the hours between 8 in the evening and 2 in the morning. Let me map out the overnight timing for you. 8 to 10 in the evening Eastern Time. The most dangerous storms will be pushing through central and eastern Indiana. Fort Wayne, Muncie, Anderson, Marion, and Kokomo are all in this window. These storms will likely still have supercell characteristics with tornado potential. 10 in the evening to midnight Eastern Time. The line moves into western and central Ohio. Dayton, Columbus, Springfield, Ohio, Lima, Mansfield, and the greater Cincinnati area will be dealing with damaging winds and heavy rain. Embedded tornadoes are still possible, though the probability decreases as the system evolves. Midnight to 2 in the morning Eastern Time. The weakening but still potent squall line pushes into eastern Ohio toward Pittsburgh and the West Virginia Panhandle. Charleston, West Virginia at 68 degrees. Wheeling at 61, Clarksburg at 64, Morgantown at 65, Huntington at 71. These cities are on the far eastern fringe of the threat. The storms will be losing their punch by this point, but gusty winds and heavy rain are still expected. 2 to 4 in the morning Eastern Time, residual showers and embedded thunder continue to push through the central Appalachians and into western Pennsylvania and West Virginia. Pittsburgh at 60 degrees, State College at 52, Johnstown area, Altoona at 52. These areas might see some brief heavy rain and gusty winds, but the organized severe weather threat should be over by this time. So if you are in Indiana, Ohio, or West Virginia, this means your severe weather threat is happening when most people would normally be in bed. That is why I am emphasizing this so strongly. Get your weather radio tonight. Turn on those phone alerts. Do not go to bed tomorrow night without a plan to receive warnings. Let me also address something that often causes confusion during overnight severe weather events. When you hear tornado sirens, they are designed to alert people who are outdoors. If you are inside your home with the windows closed, you may not hear them at all. That is why relying solely on outdoor warning sirens is a dangerous strategy. A weather radio with an alarm function is the gold standard for nighttime severe weather alerting. It will blast a loud tone the moment a tornado warning is issued for your county, even if you are sound asleep on the second floor of your house. Now, let me take you through a few more states that I have not covered yet in the temperature roundup. The upper New England and northern border states. Burlington, Vermont, 37 degrees. Montpelier, 36. Rutland, 46. Brattleboro, 46. Concord, New Hampshire, 53. Manchester, New Hampshire, 47. Nashua, 48. Portsmouth, 40. Portland, Maine, 38. Augusta, 38. Bangor, 34. Lewiston, 39. Presque Isle, 26. Plattsburgh, New York, 33. Watertown area near Fort Drum at 46. Saranac Lake area near Lake Placid at 40 degrees. Northern New England is cold tonight, with temperatures dipping into the 20s and 30s. You are completely removed from the severe weather threat tomorrow, but some scattered rain and snow showers are possible Thursday from a separate system clipping northern Maine. Upstate New York, Syracuse 53, Rochester 42, Buffalo 47, Binghamton 47, Utica 51, Ithaca 49, Elmira 51, Cooperstown 51, Saratoga Springs 42, Albany 50. Upstate New York is cool with mostly cloudy skies. The severe weather threat for your area is very low, but the tail end of the squall line could bring some gusty winds and heavy rain to the Buffalo and Erie corridor late Thursday night. Let me also cover the I-10 corridor across the Gulf South for our viewers down there. Pensacola, Florida, 66 degrees. Mobile, Alabama, 68. Gulfport, Mississippi, 69. Biloxi, 70. New Orleans, 73. Baton Rouge, 80. Lafayette, Louisiana, 76. Lake Charles, 75. Beaumont, Texas, 73. Houston, 80. San Antonio, 86. The entire Gulf Coast from Florida to Texas is warm and serving as the moisture source for tomorrow is severe weather. Gulf sea surface temperatures are running above normal right now, which means the moisture content of the air streaming northward is exceptionally high. That extra moisture translates directly into more instability and more dangerous storms when it collides with the cold front over the Midwest. One more regional breakdown for our viewers in the Central Plains and Western Missouri. St. Louis, 80 degrees. Columbia, Missouri, 84. Jefferson City, 84. Springfield, Missouri, 79. Joplin, 82. Sedalia, 83. Poplar Bluff, 77. Cape Girardeau area near Sikeston at 76. Independence, 83, St. Joseph, 88, Kansas City, 86. These temperatures are astounding for late March. Many of these cities are running 20 degrees above their normal highs for this date. That extreme warmth is a visible signature of the heat ridge that has been dominating the weather pattern, and it is exactly this kind of anomalous warmth that fuels dangerous severe weather when a strong cold front comes barreling through. Let me also address travel plans for tomorrow. If you are planning to drive on Interstate 80, Interstate 70, Interstate 65, Interstate 74, or Interstate 69 through Illinois, Indiana, or Ohio tomorrow afternoon and evening, I would strongly encourage you to adjust your schedule. Driving in severe thunderstorms is one of the most dangerous things you can do, especially when those storms are producing large hail that can shatter windshields and tornadoes that can pick up vehicles. If you absolutely must travel through the threat zone tomorrow, try to complete your drive before 2 in the afternoon Central Time or wait until Friday morning after the storms have passed. No meeting, no appointment, no destination is worth risking your life in a severe thunderstorm. For truckers and commercial drivers on these interstates, pay especially close attention to weather alerts tomorrow. A fully loaded semi-truck is extremely vulnerable to straight-line winds of 70 miles per hour. If you receive a severe thunderstorm or tornado warning while driving, pull over immediately, get off the highway if possible, and take shelter in a sturdy building. If no building is available, park on the shoulder, leave your seatbelt on, duck below the windows, and cover yourself with a blanket or jacket to protect against broken glass. Do not try to outrun a tornado in a semi-truck. For aviation, delays and ground stops are highly likely at Chicago O'Hare, Chicago Midway, and Indianapolis International Airport tomorrow afternoon and evening. If you have flights through these airports, check with your airline for rebooking options. Airports in Columbus, Dayton, and Cincinnati could also see delays later in the evening. Even airports on the periphery, like Detroit Metro, Milwaukee Mitchell, and St. Louis Lambert, could experience ripple effect delays because of rerouted flights and backed up air traffic. Now let me address something that a lot of people get wrong about severe weather forecasting, and this is important because it affects how you respond to warnings. When the Storm Prediction Center issues an enhanced risk, that does not mean every single person in that area is going to experience severe weather. What it means is that somewhere within that outlined area, conditions are favorable for severe thunderstorms. The actual storms will only cover a fraction of the total risk area. You might live right in the middle of the enhanced risk zone and never see a drop of rain. Or you might be on the edge and take a direct hit from a supercell. This uncertainty is exactly why preparation matters so much. You cannot know in advance whether you will be the unlucky one sitting right in the path of a tornado. But what you can control is being ready if it happens. The people who survive tornadoes are overwhelmingly the people who had a plan, knew where to go, and took action immediately when the warning was issued. The people who are injured or killed are disproportionately those who hesitated, did not hear the warning, or did not take it seriously. So please take this seriously. Even if the sky looks beautiful tomorrow afternoon, even if your neighbor says it is nothing to worry about, even if you have lived in the Midwest your entire life and have never personally been hit by a tornado, the statistics are clear. If you live in the central United States long enough, a tornado will eventually come close to your home. The question is not if, but when. And tomorrow might be that when for someone watching this video right now. Let me also quickly mention the agricultural impact of this system, because I know many of our viewers are farmers or live in farming communities. The combination of large hail and 70-mile-per-hour winds can be devastating to early planted crops and livestock. If you have cattle or horses in open pastures across central Illinois, Indiana, or western Ohio, consider moving them to sheltered areas before the storms arrive. Cover any sensitive equipment. Secure loose items around your property that could become projectiles in high winds. Grain bins are particularly vulnerable to straight-line winds, and damage to stored grain can represent catastrophic financial losses. And for those of you with fruit trees or early-season gardens, the 40-degree temperature drop behind the cold front could bring a freeze risk to parts of northern Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan by Friday night into Saturday morning. If you have tender plants that you have already put out, be prepared to cover them or bring container plants indoors. One final thought before we wrap up. I want to acknowledge that severe weather coverage can sometimes feel overwhelming, especially when storms are heading toward your home. It is natural to feel anxious, It is natural to feel scared. Those emotions are there for a reason. They are telling you to pay attention and take action. But once you have your plan in place, once you know where your safe room is, once your devices are charged and your weather radio is on, you have done everything you can. At that point, go about your Thursday. Enjoy the warm weather before the storms. Live your day, but keep one ear to the sky and be ready to act the moment conditions change. We are going to be watching this system all day tomorrow, and I will have continuous updates. When the first storms start firing, expect a live broadcast with real-time analysis of every single supercell. We will be tracking rotation signatures on radar, identifying the storms most likely to produce tornadoes, and providing specific guidance for the cities in the path. It is going to be an intense day of coverage, and you are not going to want to miss it. And then early next week, I will be doing a deep dive into the April pattern change. We are going to look at long-range model data, historical analogs for similar jet stream configurations, and break down exactly which areas face the highest severe weather risk as we head into the heart of tornado season. That video is going to contain information you will not find anywhere else, so make sure you do not miss it. If you found this video valuable, share it with someone you care about who lives in the threat zone. Send this to your family in Illinois. Text it to your friends in Indiana. Forward it to your parents in Ohio. That share might save a life tomorrow. And drop your location in the comments below. Tell me your city and state. I read every single comment, and it helps me know where to focus in future forecasts. If you want the most detailed, accurate, no-hype weather coverage on the internet, you are in the right place. We do not do fear. We do not do clicks for the sake of clicks. We do facts, data, and actionable information that helps you make the best decisions for yourself and your family. The atmosphere is winding up. The clock is ticking. 10 million people are in the path of what could be the most significant severe weather outbreak in weeks. Tomorrow is going to be a day that many people across the Midwest will not soon forget. Make sure you